This video is brought to you by Dr. Kristen R. Bromley's Guitar Method Book Series and Online Music Academy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kristen Bromley. Welcome to my online academy. It's so great being here helping you with playing the guitar. This is lesson 46 in this mini course that is all about flat picking. In this lesson, we're going to continue to build on what we've done in the last 4 lessons by looking at how to improvise melodic fills in the key of E minor. So in the last 4 lessons, we spent time in the key of G major, and what is kind of cool is that for every major key, there is a minor key with the exact same notes. And when it comes to improvising, we actually use notes from the same scale. They're just modes, different modes we could say of the same scale. So in the last 4 lessons, we started out first by looking at the G major pentatonic scale. Then we looked at how we could do that with alternate fingerings, maybe even add an extension onto that. Then we looked at the major blues scale where we added the flat 3 or the sharp 2 in between steps 2 and 3. And then we looked at some other chromatic ideas that we could throw in there. So that's what we did in the last 4 lessons. And if you haven't done that, you may want to start there. If not, you can start here too. So in this lesson, we're going to look at improvising in the key of E minor. There is an E minor pentatonic scale, and guess what? It has the same notes as the G major pentatonic scale. The only difference is where we start, so it's going to change the intervallic relationship between the pitches as we move through it, meaning how far apart the pitches are from step 1 to the next step to the next step. So here we go. With E minor, I'm playing the same notes that I would play with the G major pentatonic, but it sounds minor instead of when I play G major pentatonic, which sounds major. So it's really cool. Okay, down in the description below, if you haven't done so already, there's a link. You can download a free copy of the sheet music for this lesson, Flat Picking Fun number 12. You're going to want to download that because you're going to need that to play right along with me here. So at the top of that sheet music, the first thing that's written on there is some fingerings for the E minor pentatonic scale, and actually I've gone ahead and done what we call the blues scale. So if we were to do the G major pentatonic just as is, we have, let's start on E instead of G, we end up with, and I just played 2 octaves of it, the E minor pentatonic. If we add what we did with the G major pentatonic, where we added that 1 chromatic note between steps 2 and 3, which created the flatted 3rd, in this case it becomes a sharp 4 or flat 5, but we can add that same chromatic and we end up with the blues scale. This is a blues scale that is in correlation with the minor pentatonic scale, as opposed to the blues scale that correlates with the major pentatonic. But interestingly enough, the mode for the minor has the exact same notes as its relative majors. So G major blues has the same notes, I should have got, as the E minor pentatonic. E minor pentatonic or E minor blues scale, which we usually just refer to as the blues scale. They sound different because it changes the way the pitches relate to each other depending on where we start and end. So I've got this written out here. Now, I'm not going to go through all the steps that we went through in the last 4 lessons of just starting out with the minor pentatonic and then going and adding the extensions or ways we can finger it, and then adding in the blues notes, and then adding in other chromatics. I've just got the blues scale here with all the different fingerings. So we'll go ahead and take a look at it, because if you've done the last 4 lessons, this will be super familiar. We're just starting in a different place. We're starting on the low E note. So we've got the open E, and then the 3rd fret, open A, 1st fret for that chromatic in the blues, and the 2nd fret. Then the open D, 2nd fret, open G, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, and then we've got 2 different options for playing the B. We've got the 4th fret on that 3rd string, or the open 2nd string, depending on how we're doing it. And then we've got the D at the 3rd fret, and we'll either finger that with our index or our ring finger usually, depending on which fingering we're using for the B note and for the notes that come after. So then we've got the D, or sorry, that's the D, and then we've got the E that's at the 5th fret on that 2nd string, or the open E that's the top string, so either one. And then you got the G that's at the 3rd fret, and you've got the A at the 5th fret, then we go up for that chromatic at the 6th fret, and we're up to the B at the 7th fret. So I'm using the same full extension that I would have explained with the G major pentatonic, and we can come back down, and you've got the same choices with some of those fingerings. Depending on what we're playing, if we're sliding into a note, we pick the open strings versus the ones that are higher on the neck on a different string. So you can kind of play through that and just get comfortable with it. That's what it sounds like. It should be familiar because we've already been playing with these same notes. But as we play the different licks, it's going to sound a little different. Now, just like I've done in the past, we're kind of alternating back and forth between some sort of strumming pattern with the chord and then a melodic fill. So we've done that here. It's a little bit in reverse. This time the chords are coming first and then a melodic fill, which is super fun. We're going to go ahead and look at all of these licks. So every single one of these melodic fills is a great example of a lick you could play, and by learning them, then you start to get the sounds in your ear and you can start creating some of your own. So I'm going to walk us through each one of these licks so you can hear an example of them and play them, get them under your fingers as you would like to and need to. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at the first one, which is on the second line here, but it's the first line of this fun once we get outside of the written scale there. So the first thing is slide from 3rd fret to the 5th fret. I'm doing that with my ring finger. And then you've got back to the 3rd fret open. You can always shift on open strings really easy. And then we've got a pull off. Now anytime there's a slur written, a pull off or a hammer on, you can just ignore it. You don't have to use them. Sometimes it's fun to throw them in even where they're not suggested, but I've suggested a couple so you can kind of get the idea of how those work. So I've got, and they got the pull off, pull off, pull off. So and I just plucked that D that time, but and there I slurred it both times. So that's how that one works. So you can work on that one. The next one, on the next line, we've got that one sounds. I'll play it again a little bit faster. That time I slurred the whole B flat A G, so you can do that if you want to, or pluck the G. That time I plucked the G. So that's how that one sounds. If we look at the next line, we've got something that I've added in this flat picking fun exercise that we haven't done in the previous ones. We're working on melodic fills, is some triplets. So we get to practice a little bit with triplets, and we had that spot there with the 16th note, so we've got a couple spots with 16th notes, so we get to practice, kind of hear how those sounds, work those in. There's even one spot with a little syncopation. In this style, it's a lot of fluid eighth notes, but sometimes we get these triplets, we get these syncopated figures, and the 16th notes thrown in. So I've added some of those into these ones, so you can kind of hear and learn some licks that way. So I'll play this one more time. So that's how that one sounds. If we go over to the next page, on the top line, we've got little extra chromaticism. Now, any of the extra chromaticism we talked about in the last lesson, you can throw those kinds of things in minor too. You want to target the chord tones of the minor chord. When I say the last lesson, In the last lesson we actually did Mama Don't Allow, right? And we did a whole solo with it. So before that lesson we worked on the melodic fills for 4 lessons. So really it's the last 5 lessons we've been working in the key of G, but in playing that whole solo. And in the next lesson from this one we're actually working on a song playing a whole solo as well. But the same kind of chromatics that you can throw in that I would have reviewed in the last couple lessons, Mama Don't Allow, and then the lesson that was actually on throwing in additional chromatic notes. Those lessons, the same kind of thing applies with E minor. My favorite chromatic, probably the E minor, is between the D and the E. It puts a little chromatic of the natural 7 in between the flatted 7th and the root. So that's a great one besides the blues one that is already thrown in between the A and B. But you can find them other ones occasionally that you may like as well. But that's a favorite, and that is in this lick right here. Now with fingering this one, you're going to have to shift a couple times and you want to find where it seems most natural. I roll my index finger from that D to that A sharp, and then catch my middle finger on the B, and then I shift down, and I shift down again when I hit that open G. Another option that would work well is to just grab your ring finger on the B so that you're kind of already facilitating not having to actually jump or reach with your index. Either way works good. I'll just play it here one more time. So that's how that one sounds. Second line on that second page we have so I'll play it a little faster. It's kind of fun one. And then the third line, this one has this triplet that's repeated. You could pluck these before, you could pluck each one, or you can do the slur as it says. You could actually slur the whole triplet. It's a little harder at a slower tempo. But one of those ways, it's kind of fun sometimes to repeat an idea. Slurred that last triplet. But it's kind of fun to repeat an idea sometimes when we're playing, builds up this tension and then we bust out of it. The fourth one on that page we have so that one's got the little bit of syncopation in there. On the right there. So it's kind of fun to have a little syncopation. Here we go. So that's what that one sounds like. If we go on over to the next page, the third page here, got a couple more. Starts out with a triplet. Decide where you want to shift down on that one. I'll play it one more time. The next one, so you can learn all these at the pace that you need to. I'm just kind of demonstrating them a little faster to save time in the lesson. But you can pause and learn each one at whatever pace you need to. Get it down, get it comfortable, just memorize it, and it'll get the whole idea into your mind and into your fingers faster. So this next one has a little bit more of that chromatic going up to the E from the D to the D sharp to the E. If I go, that's how that one works. Okay, if we look at the third one on that page then, so the third line, we've got this little slide chromatically this time from the 4th fret to the 5th fret. So I'm doing that with my ring finger. And again, you're going to have to decide how you want to handle that shift. We've looked at that with another lick, but you'll have to decide how you want to handle that. And then we've got 2 sets of triplets here. So it's kind of cool. So the whole thing, oops. Just like that. So that's all the licks. And of course, the last line there on that third page is showing how you can play the chords and then improvise your own melodic fills. So before we look at that, though, and even get there, let's go ahead and look at this whole thing as though it's just one continuous etude, which is kind of fun to do. We got to look at the chords. Now, I introduced the strumming pattern a few lessons back, where you go bass, up, down, up, alternate, up, down, up. Just alternating on that E minor chord between that open 6th string and that 2nd fret on the 5th string. Now in the tablature, the bass notes are only written out, but it's using that bass up, down, up, bass, alternate up, down, up. Just like what is written in the actual notation. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and play through this doing that. Just like that. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. So on and so forth. You can just make up your own all day long. Now that's a great tempo. It's fun to play that slow. Of course, you can work it up fast. 1, 2, ready, and. It's also fun to sometimes swing things. It's not something we've really done in this flat picking series, but if we swing the rhythm of the strumming, that means we're going to push the up strums back further into the beat. We can also then do that as we play these fills with any of the notes that fall in between the beat. So one time through doing it in the swing fill. So you got 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, and. Your own from there. So kind of fun to swing it, and of course you could do that slow too. Dramatic. And so on and so forth. So super fun. Okay, so that wraps us up for this lesson. I hope you're really enjoying doing this flat picking stuff. It's super fun. And improvising is just one of my favorite things to do in so many different styles. So in the next lesson, we're going to do a song in E minor. We're going to do 900 Miles and work on playing a solo over the entire chord progression as well. So full on solos, not just melodic fills. Same kind of idea though. It builds on what we've been doing in this lesson. It's going to be great. Take care, and I'll see you next time. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. For more in-depth lessons and to progress through a free guitar course, check out my Guitar 101 series on YouTube and my guitar method books, which all come with access to hours of in-depth video lessons. You can find more information about me and my products at KristenBromley.com. Take care.